Bautista. I'm the operations head of Kubo. We also have, where's Kat? So Kat will be speaking later. She's our director. And just to give you a heads up, we have our cuties, so we call each other cuties here at Kubo. So cuties, can you please raise your hands? Hello. So look around you. We're the Kubo cuties. If you have any questions, you can approach any of us. Okay, so I know it's already, ano na ba ngayon? Jan
22.
21?
22.
22 na pala. So it's already Jan 22. But still, belated Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. We purposely decided to do this media year starter event in Jan para hindi masyado busy kasi I know busy kayo nung December, diba? So again, welcome to Kubo. I do want to give you a bit of a glimpse of who we are, what we do, and I want to share with you our passion for startups and the ecosystem in the Philippines. So we're Kubo. Kubo is, it's not QBO, so you don't say QBO, parang yung kanina sa video, or you don't say Kubo. It's really Kubo as in the Bahay Kubo. In fact, our little Bahay Kubo here was, fun fact, our very first furniture in the office. So it was assembled inside the office because we can't take it out. But Bahay Kubo, we chose that word because it really represents bayanihan, teamwork. We literally house Filipino startups here. So we shut this down specifically for the day, for you guys. But on a normal day, yung mga nakaupo dito are actually our startups. They go in and out. Some of them are wanting to be a startup pa lang or to build their startup. But in a more figurative sense also is we want to develop the Philippine startups in our country, in our ecosystem. The spelling of QBO, kaya hindi siya the typical KUBO, is because you know how us Filipinos, when we text, we do shortcuts. So, pag sinabi kong nandito na ako, it's NAND2AQ, right? So, yun yung reason behind it. So, it's Kubo. So, parang kita tayo sa Kubo. Yeah. So, again, we're Kubo. So, these are the, I guess, three main things about us. We are the first ever public-private initiative that caters to startups, that has startup programs. When we say public-private, usually kasi yung mga incubators and accelerators in the country, they're more privately owned or publicly backed, like yung mga university incubators. But we're a different kind of breed. We're the public-private. Our four founding partners. IdeaSpace is our mother company. IdeaSpace is the first actually ever accelerator in the Philippines in 2012, which is run by the MVP Group, so PLDT, Meralco. So that's our mother company. Joined by the Department of Science and Technology, the Department of Trade and Industry. In fact, we're in DTI. So interesting. I hope nagulat kayo when you entered Kubo and saw na parang, wow, this is so different from outside. And lastly, we also have JP Morgan as our private partner. So the four partners came together, signed an MOU in 2016. So Kubo was born in August 2016, and we were fully operational as of April 2017. We are also stage agnostic, which means yung mga startups that we cater to are, some of them are very early stage, they're ideating pa lang, they're validating, but some of our startups are actually more mature. So some of our startups, like I'm sure you've heard of Kumu, so those are mga startups na mas mature, they're already investing, they're scaling, they're growing outside of the country even. And we're also multi-sectoral, which means we don't choose a particular industry. So that's Kubo. But what do we really do? Kubo is the National Innovation Hub. We're not just an incubator. We're not just a co-working space. We do quite a lot as the National Innovation Hub and also representing government, right? So the three core actions of Kubo is grow, develop, and collaborate. What does it mean? Growth. So we want to grow the community. We want to grow the ecosystem by providing educational, informative, nation-building activities. Some of these activities include our roadshow. So we're already on our third year of our roadshow. I'll discuss more about that later on. We also have our signature Q-Litan. If you notice, yung mga programs namin has a lot of Qs. That's part of our branding. That's part of us being friendly to our startups and being very Q-led. So Kulitan is our networking night that happens almost every other Tuesdays. We just had one last night. So sayang actually because our Kulitan last night was, our speakers were from Canva, from Lalamove, and from, who am I missing? From Zomato. So the three big startups that they started the year with our very first Kulitan. We also conduct Basics, which is our Startup 101 class. So if you don't know anything about startups, this is the perfect class to go to. We also do boot camps. So that's grow, the first core action. The second core action of Kubo is develop. This is developing our startups. If the first one is like really growing the ecosystem, nation building, like creating awareness, the second one is really developing our startups, providing them the right resources, connecting them to the right people. And some of our programs under this core action we have consultation. So we've partnered with a few service providers so that we can connect our startups to our legal experts, accounting, tax, design, branding, digital marketing. We also conduct workshops for them. We also organize delegations, both locally and international delegations. And we also have our incubation program, which I'll discuss later on. And our last core action is collaborate. So collaborating with the ecosystem, with the greater ecosystem. Collaborating with corporates, with government, with other universities. We have conducted a few startup reports and mapping. So if you're interested, I'll show you some of them later. We've also worked with a few corporates, like a few organizations like UNDP, when we did our Startups to the Rescue pitching competition. We've also conducted and organized the very first Philippine Startup Week 2019. You saw the video earlier, I'll discuss that also later. And the TBI 4.0, which I'll discuss also later. So our vision is really Filipino startups changing the world. Our world is definitely changing. I'm sure since media po kayo, you've been hearing about Angkas and things happening there. In 2015, Grab and Uber was also illegal, and then they became legal. Times are changing, right? So we need to catch up. And that's what we want to do. We want our Filipino startups to be the forefront in terms of solving problems like traffic and climate change and poverty. And we want to be able to enable our startups with the right resources so that they can succeed. In 2019, we're proud to say that we've done quite a lot. So I'll just highlight a few of the things that we've done. Hopefully you were part of it. I think we see familiar faces that have covered some of these projects. So our national roadshow in 2019 was our second round of national roadshow, where we went to different cities in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. I think we went to 12 cities. Yes, we went to 12 cities last year, and we conducted Startup 101 classes. We tapped universities, we tapped entrepreneurs and founders, and then we provided them with design thinking workshops, ideation workshops, so that we can help them with their capacity building and with their development. Another highlight last year was we have also organized a few international startup delegations. These are just some of them. So we went to Singapore, Malaysia, Hong Kong, and Taiwan. So the leftmost is Taiwan, this is Malaysia, Hong Kong, and Singapore. That's right? Yeah, so That's one of the fun things that we do is we choose startups that are ready to scale, startups that are ready to partner with international partners, and we fly them to these conferences, help them book meetings, help them with their pitch, so that we're more recognized. Magaling ang mga Filipino startups. It's just I don't think we have the platform, or we don't before we didn't have the platform to show how good we are, and this is one of the things that we do to showcase our Filipino startups. We also finished our JP Morgan startup, or we graduated our startups in the incubation program in July. These are the 15 startups that graduated. Some of them I hope that you know. Again, like I'm gonna point out like Kumu, because you probably know Kumu the most there. Some of these startups are early stage, some of them are more mature stage. They also come from different industries, but they all graduated finally in July. They're also in your booklet, so if you're particularly interested in interviewing any of the startups, please let us know. Another highlight is our Startup Pinay. So our Startup Pinay project is our initiative to promote Filipina startup founders, and what we provide them are these opportunities. So we provide them with international exposure, market expansion, exhibition opportunities, and capacity building. As part of the Startup Pinay project, we've also conducted the different ecosystem mappings in different cities, and these are just some of them. The ecosystem mapping is basically like a map of, okay, if I'm a startup in Naga and I'm in the ideation stage, or which is like the early stage, I'll be able to see the initiatives, the programs, the services that are available for me, which is interesting because a lot of our startups, they always ask us, how do I get this, or what do I do? And this is a good activity that maps out what is available for the startups. And the TBI 4.0 program. So interesting. So this is again, this is probably our biggest project. We started it last year, still ongoing. We were able to secure a 33 million peso fund from DOST. It's quite huge. What is the TBI 4.0 program? It's basically to elevate the capacity and services of TBIs, which are technology-based technology business incubators, towards fourth generation incubators facilities. These are the 12 TBIs, or incubators of DOST. Basically, the DOST funded them. They're mostly university-based, and DOST tapped us, Kubo, to be able to elevate their capacity to sort of incubate the incubators. So at the end of the day, these incubators will be able to create more startups in the long run. And of course, the Philippine Startup Week. This is probably our favorite project. Fun fact also, we knew that we were going to organize Philippine Startup Week 6 weeks before the event. Only 6 weeks. We worked with DOST, DTI, and DICT, and together we were able to organize a full week of events that had over 60 events happening in 1 week. Some of the events happening simultaneously, participated by around 8 or 9 cities. So not just in Manila. So think of it as like a nationwide breakout. During Startup Week, we also had the signing of the IRR. Again, some of you covered this, so thank you so much. But this is great news because the Innovative Startup Act is really, it's going to be a game changer. It will provide benefits, incentives to our startups, not just to startups, but also to startup enablers like Kubo. So this is the video, but I think you've seen this video already earlier, so we'll just skip it. And yeah, so in the past, almost 3 years, we are proud to say that we've partnered with almost 200 partners and collaborators. Again, if you notice our logo, the Q logo, it's dots and connecting lines. And our role really is to connect people, to create and develop the Philippine startup ecosystem. In the public side, we've partnered with DICT, DOST, DTI. For the professional service providers, these are so we partner with them for what I mentioned earlier, legal, tax, accounting, design, brand, so that they're able to consult with our startups. And we've also partnered with almost 40 community partners, over 100 collaborators, and have tapped international market access partners with more than 5 countries. And so far, we're proud to say that we've done quite a lot. Other than the 15 startups that we've graduated, we've also won a few awards. We've won awards every single year since we started, 2017, 2018, 2019. So we have to win another award this year, right, Kian? So we hope to win another award in 2020. But some highlights on the top. In the past 3 years, we were able to gather 42,000 program participants. Our membership database consists of 6,000 members that are interested in the startup in startups. We have over 300. So this is actually outdated. So this is 300. We have 367 startups in our community, and they say that there's over 500 startups in the country. 367 of them are already in our database. We have access to them, not just in Philippines, but all over the country. And have conducted over 430 programs. We do programs every single week. This Kubo is busy, and I bet if you visit us any day of the week, there's something happening. And of everything that we've done, we were able to deploy 160 million pesos worth of assistance to our startups. None of it goes to us. We are non-profit. Our programs and services to our startups are free. Everything is free for our startups. So that's 2019. I want to turn it over to Kat, our director, for what you should look forward to in 2020.
Thank you again, everyone, for coming. I hope everyone had a good lunch, and I guess I'm gonna do a very quick, sort of bold predictions, listicle thing of things to look forward to. I hope this is just the beginning of an amazing decade for startups. Working with all of you guys, it's not the last time I see you guys around here. So, anyway, I'm Kat, I'm director of Kubo. Again, I think I'd like to welcome all of you. Happy New Year to the decade of Filipino startups. I'm just gonna say it, put it out there. Our Philippine startup ecosystem is gonna blow up. It's gonna be bigger than ever. We're gonna have our unicorns this decade. We're gonna create hundreds of thousands, if not millions of jobs. We're gonna have companies and apps on our phones that are gonna be Pinoy made. That's the whole vision behind what we're doing. That's the reason we're like kind of doing hundreds of programs a year, right? And it's all because it's all about driving the Filipino startup ecosystem and the startups that make it happen. So, as Natasha mentioned, we have sort of 3 core actions, right? Growing the startup community, developing our startups, and collaborating with the entire ecosystem to make this happen. Again, lots of programs. We're continued to be committed to all of our programs and services. This year, we will give plenty of stories for you to cover because we're going to have lots of startups that are going to be doing amazing things in various ways all around the country. So I hope you check in with us all the time and figure out what's going on and help spread the word about what's happening. I'm going to talk about a few new things that we're going to be launching. Kubo is also a startup, and the one thing that startups do is they're always trying new things, testing out new programs, and growing as quickly as they can. So for our Grow pillar, which is our expanding our community, I'm happy to announce some tweaks, changes, improvements, and totally new programs for you guys. Of course, for a national roadshow, this is going to be bigger than ever. We're hitting up more cities. Last year, we did this for half a year. even now, in January, we're already starting our national roadshow. So we're going to be going to more cities, more universities, so that startups from everywhere in the country have access to programs and services delivered not only by Kubo, but all of the TBIs located around the Philippines. We're also looking at maybe adding a competitive twist to this roadshow. So we're actually going to be gathering startups, again, from around the country to compete and show what they have, the best of the best. And I hope that we'll have you guys talk about these startups and the promising new things they'll be developing. We're also going to more crash courses. So what does this mean? You know, a lot of our programs in the past have been short-term, sort of one-off workshops, right? Maybe 1 week to validate. This year, we're going to be looking at more longer-term capacity-building programs for our startups. We're very excited that we're not only focusing on existing startups, as we have been doing with our incubation program, but in our crash courses, we're actually looking at startups all the way at the very beginning, right? Developing their ideas, validating, and seeing them launch into entirely new companies. Our goal at Kubo, and actually for the country, this was stated by our government, is to have 1,000 startups in the next couple of years, right? So in order to be able to do that, we can't just be focusing on the startups that are already there. We need to be actively encouraging and developing our startups so that more of them sprout up. Right? So very exciting in the growth pillar. In developing our startups, again, in addition to all of the Q programs that you know and love, we are going to be launching the next iteration of our incubation program. Again, Kubo is stage agnostic, and we're working with partners for each of the different stages, including, of course, the Philippine Stock Exchange we've been mentioning in our videos. We really hope to see exits and big startups coming out, so we're going to be working closely with partners in different verticals to be able to provide that customized, very high-touch support to select group of startups. Again, one of the biggest things that startups need in order to be able to scale is to get that attention, right? To get customers, to get you guys to talk about them, and to embrace companies that are homegrown. So, as Natasha mentioned, you do have our first batch of incubation startups in those booklets. We hope that you will reach out to us, and we can always kind of knock on your doors also to start talking about our most successful companies as they go through our incubation programs. We're also kind of launching and putting more support behind investments. So this is actually the biggest kind of, I think, exposure is like number 2 or number 3, but the number 1 problem being identified by Filipino startups is actually like that they need more funding. They need that capital to be able to grow and scale their companies. So we're launching an investor newsletter. We're going to be sending out like more profiles of startups, right? So that they get a lot more visibility, and that potential investors know that there are amazing companies are bankable here in the Philippines. It's just a matter of, again, people knowing more about it, I think. And last but not the least, exposure. Again, we're going to try to hit more countries this year. Our delegations have been very successful. You know, whenever the Filipinos get the chance to compete internationally, they win prizes, they amaze people, they get tons of inquiries, right? So we're going to double down on this effort. You know, again, we're always picking the best of the best startups to participate in these delegations. We really hope people hear more about them, that we encourage people to, visit our booths, check out our startups, and see what we have going on. And last but not the least, in collaboration. So, again, our work is not just about working with individual startups and helping them grow. It's also about developing the organizations and the infrastructure around helping startups to succeed. That's why our model with the public-private collaboration has been, such a key element to what we do. So in addition to supporting the startups, as Natasha mentioned, we are still embarking on our TBI 4.0 program. That also includes supporting the development of other incubators outside of the DOST network, right? So, whether you're a university or a company or, any other organization that wants to set up, better infrastructure to support companies and innovators, we're working very actively now with several organizations to make this happen. And our hope is that, while our Kubo is small, we will have a presence all around the Philippines, right? And we'll be able to deploy a lot of content and programs by working with other incubators and organizations and support this cause. We're also working a lot more with corporates. So, of course, in the Philippines, the big money is in the big corporations also. It's very important that we get their buy-in and their support to be able to really help our startups scale, find customers, get their products and their messages out there. So again, you'll be hearing more about this in the coming months, but we're looking forward to announcing a lot more collaborations with traditional companies, because starting up is, we're not against like working with the traditional guys, right? And we want to bring them together and collaborate with them as well. And then of course, our favorite program and something to look forward to. We had, again, 6-8 weeks last time to organize it, but now we have a full year and we already have the go signal for Philippine Startup Week 2020. So that's for sure gonna happen. Of course, dates to be announced, but I'm very confident it's going to be bigger and better than ever. This is really our opportunity to highlight and showcase everything that's happened in the Philippine startup ecosystem, how dramatically it's grown even just in the past few years, right? And 2020 is going to be our decade. 2020 is going to be our year, and we're very, very, very excited that we're going to have this again next year. So that's basically the new things to look forward to, at least as of today. This is a constantly evolving list, and we will be speaking again. But essentially, I guess I have kind of 2 calls to action or something, right? I hope we can all work together. First, in real life, right? So I'm very glad that you guys showed up for our little lunch gathering. I hope we can do this more often. I would like for all of us to sort of be friends with the cuties and you guys, and maybe the cuties here, if you could like stand up or raise your hand. So these are the people, the cuties running the different programs for the startups. So please do feel free to reach out to us, to talk to us about any of the programs. Please do attend some of these things. They're usually free, but almost always there's food, right? If for nothing else, and hang out. And learn more about our startups, right? So, and the founders and the people behind them. Because these are real guys, like these are actual Pinoys working on companies, and some of them are doing really interesting things. So I hope we get to hang out more often and that we see you at more of our events and programs. Of course, you guys are the media, so I have to say this, right? Like, our goal also is to make it viral, right? We want to bring these messages, all of these good programs that are happening, all of the work that our startups are doing. We want to be able to bring it to the world. Like, we want to make it mainstream. Starting up shouldn't just be something that's exclusive to, the nerds in their garage doing it quietly. We need to make it mainstream. We need to like spread the word that cool stuff is going on. And that's really gonna help snowball and make our ecosystem as big as it needs to be. So, please, write about us, but you don't have to. More importantly, talk about our startups. And use our startups products. Tell people that it's okay, like being a Pinoy startup is a good thing, right? And talk about our ecosystem, because we need more positive messages out there about what's going on, because that's the reality. I think most of the time when we hear about things, it's, the iffy, weird news, right? But there's so much good news happening in our ecosystem, and I hope you'll be our partners in telling the world about what's going on. So, yeah, we're putting in a lot. We've laid the foundation last year for what can be a very strong startup ecosystem, but I know that, we're gonna see our unicorns. We're gonna have a strong ecosystem. We're gonna have hundreds of startups, thousands of startups, and that they're gonna be changing our lives, solving problems for our people, changing the world, right? And our big vision at Kubo, again, is Philippine startups changing the world. And the reason we're called Kubo is because even from humble beginnings, through bayanihan, through working together, by going on the same direction and lifting the burden, right, we can create something super awesome. So let's do that. Please join us. Please eat more food. But that's it, really. Like, thank you very much. Please connect with us on all our channels. See you again.